When you grow up in a place where nothing's promised, you learn that quitting is a luxury. But for me, that was not an option.
That was perfect.
Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome to my new podcast. It's called Not an Option. I'm Rick Alaimo. We'll be discussing many topics on here about my personal life, work life, business ownership life. Going through a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different things, a lot of highs and lows and wins and losses I've taken through my life growing up on the west side of Chicago back in the early 90s and 2000s up till my life now. We'll talk about a lot of things that I encountered, a lot of things that I dealt with, a lot of business situations that happened in my life. There's a lot of stuff I want to discuss on here. Hopefully, if I get some viewers, which I hope to make this thing work, that this thing grows and I get some questions or some topics from you guys that we can discuss and make this a good thing. I'm just a normal guy, your average guy. I'm nobody special. I just talk about things. I hit them straight on. I'm a straight shooter. I say what I think what I say. And I live my life by, one rule of having integrity. So we'll be talking a lot about that. We'll be talking about blue collar workers because I grew up being a blue collar worker. We'll talk about white collar workers. I actually own a few businesses throughout my life. Some were very successful. Some had a lot of bumps in the road, but we still made them work. And I created a new working group. I call it the gray collar. It's for all you business owners that are still having to get out there and do the work of the blue collar. So you're actually a white collar guy because you have to be the business owner and you have to do your thing. Blue collar guy because you're out in the field. I took the color gray. I guess you can go light blue, you can go any fucking color you want, but at the end of the day, I like gray. I think gray collar worker fits business owners in a blue collar world. As you see, I'm old school Italian, families from Sicily. Grew up, like I said, on the west side of Chicago. You're gonna hear swearing on here. I have an accent from the city, so put your subtitles on so you can see what I'm saying sometimes. Like I said, we'll be talking about construction work. We'll be talking about scumbag contractors. We'll be talking about good contractors because I know construction. I live and breathe construction. That's my whole life since I was 13. I grew up dirt poor in the city of Chicago. I'm not going to get into a lot of big details on this first opening one, but I'm going to give you a quick synopsis of what we'll be discussing on here. I was the only white kid in an all-black neighborhood and got my ass whooped on a daily basis for everything I owned. I bought and scratched my whole life to give and keep everything I have and give my kids a better life than I had. I have good parents. Some of the choices they made. My mom worked her ass off since I was a little kid. I had a sister that passed away, and when she passed away, my dad kind of went off the rails. And I can't really say he made a bad choice. He was just put in a bad situation, and it turned my whole life around. So we went from living a great life up until I was about 8 years old to living in the worst area of Chicago. Ever since I was a little kid, 9 years old, I've faced the adversity. I've had to take buses and trains and do different things to go to different school districts that were safe for me to go to at 9 years old by myself. Then grew up, started working when I was like 9 or 10 years old with my mom, cleaning houses at night and cleaning apartments, buildings and offices at night to help her make the money to pay the bills and put food on the table. The money was really never enough. They paid her shit money, but she worked her ass off. We were on welfare, lived the poor life. I don't regret any of it. I was hustling, doing dumb shit since the time I was about 11, 12 years old. Thinking I was a big shot in the streets. Obviously, it worked out for me. I'm still here. I'm not in the penitentiary. Thank God there were no camera phones and all these cameras and cell phones and world star shit. I'm not in jail. Thank God. I thank God every day for what I have and the things I have. I'm not going to make this about religion. Since I was 13 years old, I started working for my dad and my uncle. Like I said, my dad's a tough guy, literally a tough guy, and he don't fuck around. And I was raised to not be soft, and I lived my whole life by not taking shit and not being soft, and everybody around me that I grew up with lived by those rules. We wanted to be respected and feared, and I learned later in life now it's better to be respected and loved. So we'll talk more about that. I started construction at 13. Was working with my dad as a laborer for like $4 an hour or some shit back in the 2000s. My dad, back in the 90s. What am I talking about? It was back in the 90s. I started working for like $4 or $3.50 an hour as a laborer with my dad. And we were painting and texturing hotel rooms. I'll never forget this. My uncle had a construction company, and my dad knew that. And the guy we were working for, he was a real scumbag drunk, doing the hotel rooms for. And he was never around, always bitching and screaming about everything. The kind of guy you just want to slap and tell him to get away from you. But, we needed the money. So we were working there. But my dad, being the guy he was and who I learned a lot from, he decided one day that, you know what, if I'm going to be here doing all the work and running the show, I'm going to go talk to the owner and try to take this job and make it mine with my cousin. So my uncle was brought in through my dad, and my dad took over that hotel behind that first guy's back. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh, your dad's a scumbag, he stole the job, he did this, he did that. No, he played the game. And you're going to learn a lot about that. It's playing the game. It's not being a scumbag. It's not being an asshole. That guy that wasn't there every day making sure that job was right was the asshole scumbag. We did what we had to do for our family. Because, again, failure, not eating, it's not an option. And you're going to learn I talk about not an option a lot in this. So we wound up doing that hotel, I'll never forget. And my dad was straight out of rehab. We had some guys from rehab there that had done construction work in the past, and I was there, and I brought guys that I went to school with, all 12, 13-year-olds, football players. We busted our ass carrying material, doing whatever we had to do. But we took that job over. We had some of the shittiest tools. We had some of the worst things you can use to get a job done with. But you know what? We got it done. And my dad became one of the bigger hotel remodelers in the Midwest back then. And we were working every day and for decent money. And I got to tip my hat to him. He taught me a lot. He taught me that business is about the 3 B's: balls, bullshit, and brains. And you got to have the brains to come up with the idea. You got to have the bullshit to sell the idea, and you got to have the balls to pull it all off. And if you do those 3 things, anything's possible. And I'm living proof. I came from nothing. I've got a pretty successful company now, well, multiple companies. I've had other successful companies that I've sold in the past, and I've had some companies that failed. And we're going to talk a lot about that in this podcast. I'm not going to just talk about wins like a lot of these other people on YouTube and all this other shit that everything is driving Lamborghinis and driving Rolls Royces and all that shit. You're not going to see a Lamborghini and a Rolls Royce in me. You're going to see a working truck. I got a Ford Raptor, a nice one. It's 2012. I'm not here to brag. I'm not here to sound like I got everything under the sun. I've also got a nice Harley, and I live a decent life, and I'm happy, but I want more, and I'm always going to want more. That's what drives me every day, because once you get complacent, you die. You gotta always want more in business. I've built my whole company and lived my whole life without advertising one time. I've done it all by word of mouth. I've been all referrals, and every customer was happier than the last. You call me up, I can give you a list of referrals from here to the ceiling. I've got all the referrals you need. I've got all the pictures of the work I've done that you need. And at the end of the day, that means a lot to me, having my integrity. Now, have I fucked up some relationships in my life too? Yeah, I fucked up some good relationships in my life building my company. I was 19. I started my company. My dad and my uncle dissolved their company, and they were both going in their own direction, doing their own thing. I didn't see eye to eye with everything that they did and how they did it, so I decided to start my own company. I thank them every day because since I was 13, they put me working with the best guys, the best carpenters, the best electricians, the best plumbers, the best HVAC, the best painters, and I learned how to do everything as the best. So by the time I was 16 years old, I was doing everything. I can do anything that any guy in his 30s and 40s could do. I could do it, and I could do it faster and better. And I took pride in that because I didn't talk a lot. I shut my mouth, listened, watched, followed directions, and did the job the right way because I have integrity. Then, when I was 17, I was right out of high school. For my dad and my uncle, I was running 30-man crews around the country, remodeling hotels. We were averaging about 7 rooms a week. That's a lot. We were getting a lot done, all under me. And you think that's easy? Being 17, managing guys 30, 40, 50 years old, looking at you like, who the fuck is this kid trying to tell what to do? But you know how you get people's respect in this business? You outwork them, or you show them you know more than them, or you show them you can do it better than them, or you show them that you're not someone that they can fuck with. You tell them, this is how it's being done, and this is how I want it done. And then you show them how you do it, and it's better than their way. And if it's not better than their way, you shut up, and you learn their way, and you do it that way. I learn something new every single day. I'm 47 years old, and I've been doing construction since I was 13, and I still learn something new every day. And we're going to talk about all that too. You know, it's not about being the boss isn't about being the big shot that can puff his chest out and tell everybody, you do it my way or the highway. Nah, there's a lot of good guys out there that you hire to make your job easier, and you should be able to learn stuff from them. If you're not learning something every day, like I said, you're dying. If you're complacent, you're dying. You gotta constantly leave your mind open to new ideas, new suggestions, and grow. And that's what I did. I grew my company. So 19, did I know everything? Fuck no. Did I learn a lot? Yeah. Did it cost me tons of money? Millions of dollars. But I did it. And I'm very proud of myself. I'm very happy with where I'm at. I've lost a lot in my life. My marriage, my kids. We'll talk about that stuff later. Do I have a good relationship with my wife and kids? Yes, I have a great relationship with them. But the business strained all those relationships. And you got to make that decision if you're going to be in this business. Are you willing to put it all on the line? Because that's what you got to do. Because nothing comes easy with this shit. There's so many people out here that are out to fuck you. Whether it's the guys showing up for work drunk, or whether it's the guys not showing up for work at all. But you can't get rid of all the guys because you need guys to do the work till you find better guys. It's such a vicious circle. Every day is a stressful day. And if you're in this business, I tip my hat to you. If you're doing good in this business, I tip my hat to you. But if you're not in this business with integrity, and if you're not in this business to do a great job, and if you're in this business to take those deposits and not show back up or not do a good job for the people, you need to get the fuck out of this business because you're ruining it for all the good contractors out there. You need to look at yourself and realize, am I in this for the right reasons, or am I in this to take people's money? And there's enough scumbags out there taking people's money, man, and not doing a good job. It's hard on us because the guys that are trying to do a good job, we got to fight for every penny and fight to get every nickel out of a job because there's so many guys that have bad intentions just underbidding jobs and getting the job and then extraing the customer to death or taking the deposit and not showing up. And guess what? Not only do the customer get fucked, but we get fucked because we should honestly have that job. the customer should honestly be paying the right amount of money for that job. And the customer gets all starry-eyed and they always say, I'm not going to go with the cheapest guy. Bullshit. If a guy comes in 20% cheaper than another guy, that customer thinks that the other guy that's 20% higher is the scumbag trying to overcharge them. And they're like, oh, if he can do it for this price, and the guy sells himself, because most guys are con artists that are scumbags, and they sell themselves and they take the people's money, and then they do a shit job or they don't do a job at all, and it just fucks up this whole construction industry. And we're going to talk more about that one day in this podcast. We're going to talk about a lot of this stuff. I know a lot of you guys go through this shit. We're going to talk about money management. I was terrible with managing money. You're talking about a kid from welfare in Chicago that grew up, barely got through fucking high school. It took me 5 years to get out of high school because of some stupid shit that I did. I'll talk about that later too. But I barely got out of high school, never went a day in college. I actually went one day at college to a college party and seen that college kids do more dope than on the west side of Chicago. But fuck, I mean, hey, their parents are paying for it, God bless them. But I didn't have that luxury growing up. God bless them. I mean, I'm not saying nothing bad about college. If college is your way of going, it just wasn't meant for me. I was school of hard knocks, and I don't regret it one bit, but I'm all for it, man. If you got a means and a way to go through college, definitely, we could talk about that. My kids went to college, and I'm so proud of him, and he's doing great. My other son, he's just turned 18. He got out of school. He has autism, highly functioning. I don't want no sympathy. He don't want no sympathy. He's not even going to school. He's working with one of my guys, learning automotive. He wants to be a mechanic. So I got a white collar kid went to college, doing the college way, and I got a blue collar kid. And I love both of them, and they're both gonna do great because they have what I have in me, integrity and a hard work ethic. And that's what's missing in this world nowadays. You can't get people to show up to work and give you a full day's work anymore. You can't get people to do anything without saying, oh, my back, oh, I might get hurt, oh, OSHA, oh, this, oh, that, oh, fungal, fuck. I mean, everybody's got something to cry about. And it's funny, man, when you look at the way we used to have to work to make money to feed our families and put food on the table, now that's a lost talent, it's a lost trade. The work ethic nowadays is terrible. The integrity of people is horrible. So if you get those good guys to come work for you, cherish them, take care of them, pay them well because they deserve it, and build off of them. I always spent money on my people. I always took good care of my people. I always had a great infrastructure. I used to do all the work myself till I was about 26 years old. So from 19 to 26, it was me and 3 other guys, a 4-man crew, and we could work circles around anybody. We could outwork, out-hustle, and outperform. Our quality was miles ahead of everybody's because all we did was work and we wanted to go home. And when we brought a new guy on our crew, we didn't even fucking talk to him for the first month. He had to earn our respect. He had to learn that he had to fit in and he had to do a good job and he had to be one of us. Nowadays, it's just not like that anymore. And you guys know what I'm talking about, the old school guys. You new school guys, you don't know where I'm coming from. And I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong because I learned a lot from you guys. I mean, back when I was younger, we used to have to measure everything out, use a stick level. Now it's all laser levels and all this other shit. And I learned that from the new guys nowadays. And this stuff really helps get the jobs done better. So I'm not trying to diss anybody. This isn't about dissing or being disrespectful to anybody. This is just me talking about my life, about what I've learned. Back to my point. Sorry, I was rambling. But back to my point. Take care of your team. I always build an infrastructure. I always have somebody to help me with the paperwork. I always have somebody to help me with the sales. I always have somebody to help me with being out in the field doing the best work possible or making sure that the crews that I have are doing the best work possible. And like I was saying, there was 4 of us up until I was 26 years old. I had a terrible accident. Stepped off a boat on a pier. peer collapse, broke my neck, tore all the ligaments in both my shoulders. I've had 15 surgeries since then. I can't do the work anymore. I still can get out there and do little shots of work here and there and show guys what to do and always be available, but I can't physically do the work 8-hour days anymore from all the surgeries and stuff. I've got 2 metal rods and a ball bearing in my neck and some other stuff going on in my shoulders. Do I cry and complain about it? Do I get disability? Fuck no. I get up every morning, 5 a.m., I go work out. After the gym, I eat my breakfast. I go to work. I get home about 7, 8 o'clock every night. And that's my routine. Still at 47 years old. I don't complain about my surgeries. I've never missed more than a few days after all my surgeries. But that's just my work ethic. Back to having a good team. You build that team, you pay them well, you treat them well. All the time it's not about money. You don't have to pay them the most money in the world. You could pay them what you can afford, but you show them that they're part of something. And as you build that something, as that something grows, they grow with you, which means their pay grows with you. When you find people that are willing to join that team, you snatch them up and you take care of them. And not only take care of them, but you keep that promise. You got the right team now backing you. You build that fucking company. You owe them that. You owe your family that. Be a man and do it. Don't talk about it. Don't bullshit about it. Do it. Because now you got a team behind you that's helping you. But you got to be the general. You got to be the guy in the background that's making sure they're on task. Now you got to become the white collar. So you got to transition from the blue collar of doing the work to the white collar. And this is where the gray collar thing I talk about comes into play. You're playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Listen to what I just said. You play chess while everyone else is playing checkers. You're thinking 20, 30 moves ahead. You're thinking 5, 10, 20 moves ahead. You're trying to be ahead of your opponent. Well, you got to be ahead of your company. And that's how you become successful. Like I said, not everything is roses and rainbows in my life. And I actually wrote a book about my life. And that book is called Not an Option. It gets into very thorough details of my life up until I was 19 years old. There's part 2 of this book coming out soon. But this book tells a lot about what I'm talking about right now on this podcast. I'm not trying to force anybody to buy the book. I'm just showing you, I wrote a book. It's about my life. Everyone said everything I've gone through in my life, I should write a book. So I wrote a book. It is on Amazon if you do want to buy it. This is not a sales pitch. I'm just letting you know that it's there. It's called Not an Option. My author name is my kids' names, Frank Antonio. It's not under my name. It's under Frank Antonio. Again, Not an Option. If you want, check it out. If not, we'll be talking about a lot of this on here. I'm proud of this book. I'm not going to lie. I've got hooked up with some people in the entertainment industry because of this book. And they're actually thinking about turning this book into a series. And I'm talking to some high-end people. Some people that ran some really big shows on HBO, and they want to do a new Italian mob life, gangster mafia story. And they have some different ways that they want to do it, and we're in the talks about it. And man, that would be amazing. But you know what? It hasn't happened yet. And that's where a lot of people fuck up in this business. And just like with this book, I could be betting on the come. And if I bet on the come, I could be spending money I don't have. My book ain't nothing yet. It's on Amazon, barely selling, I bet. I don't even know how many I've sold. I couldn't even tell you. I don't keep an eye on that. I got a construction company to run. This is just something I did, not for fun, because I wanted to get my story out there, but it's something I did. And I kind of let it do its thing. If it ever comes to fruition, I put all the hard work and effort into that too. And if that ever comes to fruition, man, I'll be ecstatic. But for right now, I got to put food on the table. And I got to put food on all the people that work for me table. And that's what means something to me. When the book happens, if it ever happens, if a series happens, God bless. That'd be amazing. I'd be ecstatic. If this podcast takes off, it'd be amazing. I'd be ecstatic. But right now, This and that isn't putting food on my table. I gotta knuckle down and keep my construction company making money for a lot of people that I owe that to. My family, my kids, my wife, my workers, all the people that love my company, that work for me every day, all the people that could work for other companies but choose to stick it out with me because they see the big picture. I owe them all that. And that's what you guys got to have, that mentality. Take care of your people. The book, my grandfather came here from Sicily, and he came to Chicago, and he actually started, he didn't have more than a third grade education. He could never read or write. He became a very prominent guy in the mafia. It's pretty funny. It's a crazy story. He needed to make money, you know. He was like 9 or 10 years old and he needed to make money. He started shining shoes, and one of his customers was no other than Al Capone. And starting to know Al Capone at that young age, life changed and he evolved into what he became. Not going to get into that right now. We'll talk about that another time. But that's in the book. There's a lot of stuff. My dad, you know, knows a lot of people. I know a lot of people. And that's all in the book. A lot of things in that book. The book's a crime fiction story. Obviously, it's just based on some true events. Some of the things are exaggerated. Some of the things aren't. I don't know which ones. But we'll just say they're all exaggerated. How about that? So we talked about the business. We talked about integrity. We talked about my personal life. You know, let's talk about what I said earlier about being feared and respected or loved and respected. I grew up doing both. You know, when I was feared and respected, I made a lot of fucking money. No one owed me money. Nobody. You owed me money, you got your head cracked. You owed me money, people came and saw you. You owed me money, you didn't owe me money. It just didn't happen. But I looked over my shoulder. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on lawyers and court to stay out of jail for stuff I was accused of. Maybe I did it, maybe I didn't. I don't remember. My mind don't remember that. But I do remember when I was loved and respected, my life got a lot easier. And that made me a better person, because when I was feared and respected, money was flowing like crazy, but I had no respect for money. I was never college educated on money. I was never gone through any financial training programs like most contractors out there. We didn't go through a financial training program. So we get money. We've never really had money. We come from broken places. We don't know what to do with that money. We don't know how to manage that money. And we're going to talk about all that, because I'm not the end all be all on it, but I've done my fair share of fucking money up and then doing the right things with money. And the quicker I can get you on track to doing the right things with your money. I don't know about investing in stocks. I don't know about all that shit. I want to learn that. I really do. So if anyone's out there watching this, I'm willing to learn that. But I do know how to flip houses. I do know how to manage the money for each job. I do know how to make sure you pay yourself first so that you make sure your family's fed. I do know how to pay my employees and my subs every week. So I do know how to manage money. Was I always like that? Fuck no. I didn't understand money at all. I just knew money came easy. And when money comes easy, guess what? It goes easy. And when it goes easy, it runs out. Look at this fucking guy, Floyd Mayweather, the fucking boxer. He's gone through almost $1 billion because money came easy. Uneducated guy with money. And now he's broke. Don't be broke. Don't be fucking dumb. Do the right things with the money you get. Grow that money. Don't think that more money is right around the corner. And this is the most important thing I'm going to tell you right now. Don't bet on the come. Only bet on the checks that are cashed and in your bank. Only bet on the money you got. Because you might finish a job and think, oh, I'm finishing this job and I got my big payout coming, and bam, that customer sticks it right in your ass. You got nothing. They don't pay you. Now you're scrambling. Now you're going crazy. Well, guess what? The days of cracking that customer's head, the days of intimidating that customer, the days of doing all that other shit to get your money, they're over. Now you got to go to court. You got to fight it out. And the court system sucks against contractors. And guess what? You get pennies on the dollar, and you fight in court for years. You put a lien on their house, and they don't sell their house. Then you're fucked out of that money. And you spent that money because you bet on the come. Don't do that. Only play with the money you have and be responsible with it. So we'll be talking a lot about a lot of different things like that. I'm going to wrap this up. All I know is this business isn't easy, but live by this one rule. Failure is not an option.